episode number 5 of...
Brutal Battle.
All right, so we had done the Special Black Tuesday variants episode, so this one is another one for the Bruery, and it's another Imperial Stout barrel aged.
Very similar.
Yeah, kind of similar. Now, I'm trying to figure out if what we're going to do with this then is apply how I feel about these beers and the Black Tuesday beers to the rankings for the overall brewery ones that I'm doing in the Brewery Society Beers episodes.
Probably should.
Yeah, I probably should. So I'm thinking I might add those to that so that when I have those specific episodes, they'll factor into the ranking basically, and they'll probably be pretty high up. But so for this one, we're going with variants of Chocolate Rain. So the first one makes sense to start with regular Chocolate Rain. But please know that this is about 5 years old in the bottle. We've been holding this one for a while, so this one's not going to taste like fresh Chocolate Rain by the Bruery. So, just take that into account when you're listening to this. Yeah.
Okay.
This is in a 750 milliliter bottle. It is done with wax on the top, multiple layers. So we already popped the bottle open prior to doing this because I don't want to have to fight through the wax while recording because that's frustrating. And this is, Chocolate Rain is Imperial Stout aged in bourbon barrels with cacao nibs and vanilla beans. This is the 2015 vintage and it is 18.4% alcohol.
Oh.
That's what the Bruery does.
Yeah.
It's always high ABV.
Big beers.
Yeah, with these beers for sure. Here, I won't give you too much to start with, because, 18% and all. Don't want to get too crazy. Give myself a little. All right. Now.
Okay. I always feel silly talking about the color, because, it's...
Yeah, we already said Imperial Stout, so...
It looks like an Imperial Stout.
Already... Yeah, I'm sure
you know
everyone...
what it looks like.
Yeah, everyone, I'm sure, already, as soon as you hear Imperial Stout, especially barrel-aged, everyone has the same image in their mind, super dark. That's what it looks like, but it's a little brown around the edges. Mm-hmm. No big surprise, there aren't really any bubbles hanging out. There's a little bit, but not much because it's very high ABV, and that's just how that goes. If you swirl it up, it very slowly comes down the sides. You can tell it's viscous at that 18.4%.
Man, it smells so good.
But what does it smell like?
I mean, it smells like...
This is what I remember.
It smells like bourbon.
Yeah, there's a lot of bourbon character in there. And it stings my nose a little bit, the alcohol level.
It it makes me feel really warm and tingly.
Yeah.
I'm definitely getting... The first couple sips is all bourbon, but then if you keep sniffing, I'm definitely getting chocolate.
My first sniff, I got, a huge wallop of chocolate up front. Really nice kind of... Actually, I say this from time to time, a mix between dark and milk chocolate, really.
I feel like it's just chocolate. It's not really...
It's dark
or milk.
Decadent, though. It smells dessert-like. It smells decadent. It smells very kind of sweet at the same time. I do get the vanilla. That vanilla's pretty nice.
I'm getting some raisin and some soy sauce.
Okay. The soy sauce are, really faint, though.
Yeah.
The raisin, the raisin's relatively pronounced because of the high ABV. Caramel, I get some nice caramel on there. Plenty of wood from that bourbon barrel. But, like you said, it is so much bourbon character to this beer. It's crazy. It smells really good. It's even though the ABV is very high, that'll probably be pretty smooth.
It is. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my
It's
gosh.
dangerous.
Yeah. Nice chocolatey up front.
I mean, it tastes 9, 10%.
I go 12, maybe. Yeah, probably 12. Because I'm getting, in my second sip, I'm getting a pretty decent burn in the back of my throat going on. But it's good. From what I remember Chocolate Rain being, the chocolate and vanilla notes are more suppressed in this, having aged for 5 years versus when it's fresher.
Okay.
When it's fresher, I know it's even more robust chocolate, even more robust vanilla. This age on it has allowed the bourbon to come through a lot more, so it's more bourbon forward, and it is very bourbon forward. It's increased the perception of that raisin note that you were talking about smelling. The caramel, I think, has increased a little bit. And the wood from the bourbon barrel is more perceptible. So, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I'm sure I've had it fresh. If you've had it fresh.
Yeah, you've had it relatively fresh, like within the same year that it was released.
I don't remember that.
Years,
I don't.
Well, it was probably like
remember.
2015 or 16.
When we got the bottle?
Well, this was a 2015 release, so we probably got it in 2015, and we either drank it in 2015 or 2016. So we did have it relatively fresh. So it's been 4 or 5 years since we had
I don't
had
remember, so I really can't compare, but I can agree with all of our tasting notes tonight.
I do. The reason I do remember is because the first time I tried this beer, it was, I want to say, a religious experience, kind of. It was a beer religion experience. It was the moment that I was like, I've tried a bunch of brewery beers, and I think this is my favorite one.
Aww.
Like, it was magical. It was so good.
That's special.
Yeah, this is definitely one of my favorite barrel-aged beers that they do. Yeah, it's amazing. So I'm really, really excited to see what happens with the variants of this.
Now, the variants that, and again, you didn't mention that we're going to be, because this is such a high ABV, we're going to be breaking this variant episode up. Yeah. Are the other ones as aged as this one?
No.
Okay.
No, and that's the thing. I think the next one is, people you'll hear, I'll tell you what it is, but I think the next one's only like a year or two old. Okay. And then the one after that's only like a year. So, but the final one, trust me, super special. As special as regular Chocolate Rain is, and the next Chocolate Rain, that last Chocolate Rain we're doing is very special. So, you're going to want to stick around for that. But with that said, let's go to the second one and see what we're tasting. And initially, I made an assumption that this would be aged in the same barrels, that it would be bourbon barrel just like the original Chocolate Rain, but looking at the label and not having read it before, I just made an assumption it's not. This is done in different barrels. So it is Chocolate Rain, but this is Cherry Chocolate Rain. So really, it's the same base beer. It has the cacao nibs added, it has the vanilla beans added, but then it has, as you would guess, tart cherries added. But then it's, instead of aged in bourbon barrels, it's rye whiskey barrels.
Okay.
So that will be interesting to see how that and the cherries change things up here. All right, we'll give you a crazy amount for now. 2
different variables that have changed.
Yes. Going into this, I was like, oh, the only difference is going to be the cherries. But
oh man, I smell the cherry.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Does it smell good in there?
It smells good.
It could be good because obviously cherry and chocolate go well together if people are familiar with cherry cordials, which I know a lot of people are. Does it look like a stout, an imperial stout?
Yeah.
Yeah. Swirl it up. Yep, there are good legs on that glass. It looks like it might be a little less viscous than the other one, but it's actually higher ABV.
Did you say the ABV?
No, I didn't. It's 19 though.
19. Okay.
Yeah. It's 19%. The other one was 18.4.
Okay.
So we're going up. And I think the last one is even higher. So yeah.
Man, it smells really good though.
Ooh.
Don't you smell the cherry in it?
Yeah. No, I definitely
smell the cherry. I smell chocolate.
Oh, and I need to say this one's 1 year old basically. This is a 2019 bottle, so it's fresher.
So that's the other difference. This is fresher.
It smells more chocolatey than the last one. I smell a lot more of that vanilla in there than the original Chocolate Rain.
I do too. Definitely way more chocolate, way more vanilla, and then obviously cherry.
So honestly, like I smell the cherry, but the cherry's not as pronounced as I assumed it would be.
I got a big whiff of it as you were pouring the beer, and you passed it over to, across the table. I was like, "Whoa!" I got a whiff of it.
Maybe this is just me, but I do feel like I'm getting a little spice type character from the rye. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. Oh, and there is a bourbon-y character there too, because there is a caramel type note. It definitely's got a spirit note to it, a little woodiness. Yeah,
not as much as the first one though. I feel like I got a lot of the barrel characteristic out of the regular Chocolate Rain nose. That's good. This is smooth. and very deceiving. I would not... All their beers are, though.
Yeah.
I feel like very rarely... I mean, you can tell their beers are boozy, but never are you like, wow, that's 20%.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely gives me a burning sensation in the back of my throat with each sip, but it's not out of kilter. I don't think you would say 19, because 19 is crazy high. So, good achievement. So, how are the flavors presenting to you? Like, what are you getting most?
I'm definitely getting, I think vanilla for me is the dominant flavor.
The vanilla really is showing up, and I like that.
I'm not getting as much cherry as I would like, and the mouthfeel is a little thin for me.
Yeah, the mouthfeel is thinner than I assumed it would be, but I actually think for my perception, I'm getting more cherry in the flavor than I was getting in the aroma. And I feel like the cherry is in the middle of each sip. Mm-hmm. Yep. Like, it's not there in the beginning, and it goes away at the end, pretty much. But it is juicy in the middle. It kind of is like drinking a cherry cordial, in a sense. Like, it's enrobed in dark chocolate.
Enrobed, here we go.
It's enrobed in like a vanilla dark chocolate. And you get the cherry just in the middle of each sip. But it is like, it does come off to me like a burst of the cherry flavor, and then it goes away. Mm-hmm. It's very interesting how it does that. I like it. And I do, once again, like I was saying on the nose, I feel like I'm getting that kind of bit of a spice character from the rye whiskey. And then the wood showing up a little bit in the end as well. Yeah,
I feel like I'm not getting as much of the barrel characteristics as I did from the bourbon barrel. Part of that could just be because I haven't had a lot of rye whiskey barrel-aged beers, so I'm not as good at sussing those flavor profiles out. But I think I know what you're talking about, because there is like a flavor that I don't know what it is in the beer. yeah,
and it's kind of like an earthy spice in a sense. Yeah, and it lingers.
It's not vanilla, it's not chocolate, and it's not cherry.
Yeah, and it lingers. It lingers for quite a while at the end of each sip. And actually, I think that's the flavor that stays the longest. And it actually makes the dark chocolate note kind of disappear at the very end. So it's like a lot of dark chocolate, like nice bitter dark chocolate up front. Then you get that nice blast of the cherry, like the juicy, beautiful cherry flavor. And then it goes back to the dark chocolate and vanilla real quick. And then it goes to that like spicy, earthy character from the rye whiskey barrel. And then a little bit of like a tannic wood to finish as well. So I think we're actually tasting a lot of the rye whiskey to it. Probably.
More than we initially thought.
It's good, though.
Mm-hmm. It is very good.
And I'm surprised because I'm not big on cherry in general. So the way they incorporated it into this
works.
Thumbs up on that. I quite enjoy it. So, very cool. But as happy as I am with this, and as happy as I was with the Chocolate Rain, I'm even more excited about what could be with this final beer. So let's just jump right into it. This epicness is Chocolate Rain. No, not the original Chocolate Rain like we already had 2 beers ago, but it is spelled differently. It's said the same way as Chocolate Rain. Rain is spelled R-E-I-G-N instead of R-A-I-N. So this is a special version of Chocolate Rain that previously was only available to the people in the Hoarders Society for the brewery. Now, last year in my Reserve Society, they made this available. And actually, we got lucky because we got 2 bottles of this included with our membership fee. Because if people don't know, there is a membership fee for their beer societies for the year. And then that covers a certain number of beers that you get throughout the year. So this one, Chocolate Rain, is the highest in ABV at 21%.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's a big one. And there's a reason for the 21%. It is a double barrel-aged imperial stout with cacao nibs and vanilla beans. So it is the same as the initial Chocolate Rain, except the biggest difference is they put in more cacao nibs, they put in more vanilla beans, and then they bourbon barrel age it for a year, take it out of those barrels, then put it into new barrels and age it another year. So this is 2 years bourbon barrel aged with more vanilla, more cacao nibs.
Okay, let's try it.
Based off of the sound of how much work it is, and how expensive it most likely is, I hope this is really good. I'm sure you do too, especially because, we're about to have it. So, there you go, bud.
Okay.
What does it look like? Oh, and this is last year. This is a 2019 vintage for it, so it's probably not even a year old at this point.
Looks like a stout.
Yeah.
It's not super dark. You can kind of see through parts of it.
But yeah, when you swirl it, you can obviously tell the way it's coming down the edges that it is high in ABV. Yeah, real viscous looking.
It smells boozy.
Oh.
Doesn't it?
Yeah. Ooh. But I smell...
It's like burning my nose.
Well, at 21%, you kind of got to expect that a bit. I smell a lot of chocolate, though.
Yeah, it does. It's very chocolatey.
And I smell a very nice vanilla coming in right after that.
Exactly what I was going to say.
You can tell that they increased the chocolate, increased the vanilla, and I'm pretty sure they had to do that because of all the barrel aging for those flavors to really stand up enough to 2 barrels and to stick around over time.
I'm getting some soy sauce.
Yeah, I could see that at the very end. It's very slight. But there's so much spirit barrel to it. Yes. It's very bourbony. It's got that alcohol heat on the nose that's burning your nose.
Burning my nose and throat.
But it smells really, really good. It also, I smell a nice like caramel in there.
Yep. Every time I'm like, I smell caramel. I smell this. You've got it.
Yeah, I mean, if you keep smelling it, you keep smelling like different things. But yeah, I mean, it's mainly. I'm trying to see if I really get much of like a wood character from the barrel, but I don't.
I don't. No.
Yeah, maybe slightly, but I feel like it's being kind of hidden by the chocolate.
I mean, it's definitely chocolate and then vanilla.
Okay, I'm a little afraid of how hot this is going to be alcohol-wise when I take my first sip, but we'll find out. Not that bad.
No.
Really not that bad. I was expecting on the first sip, a very significant burn going all the way down my throat. I get a bit of a burn at the back of my throat, but it's not traveling very far. You can tell it's high ABV.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's unnecessarily high.
Right. Yeah, 21%. There's a nice chocolate, though.
Oh, it's very chocolatey.
I love the chocolate. The vanilla is coming together with the chocolate as I continue to have more sips as well. So it's like a nice... It's actually going more towards like a milky dark chocolate with vanilla added.
I just can't get it. It's so boozy, though. It just makes it
really boozy.
Not enjoyable for me.
Like, I take a sip, and when I'm breathing then, I can feel the vapors coming out my nostrils. Yeah. It's very intense with the alcohol. I mean, I'm sure as we continue to sip on it, you'll get a little more acclimated to that, but it does seem a little excessive.
It's totally excessive. I mean, this is, I want to like it, and I can appreciate everything that's been put into it, but it's just... The booziness is just making it not enjoyable for me.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see some people really, really loving this if you're good with spirits typically. Like, if you're a bourbon drinker, you'd probably be like, oh, yeah, like, this is real nice. It's kind of more of like a bourbon with a bit of beer. You know?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, I do taste the bourbon in there. I get that caramel, but I get a lot of the chocolate and the vanilla mainly, which... makes sense. But there's so much heat, and the alcohol heat is lingering in the back of my throat. It just sticks there. It's very similar to me as if anyone's had those Kirchmeier alcohol chocolates. There's like this, they sell them every year. I don't know if they're available year round or if I just know them because of the holidays, because people gift them to my father. Every year he would always get this box of these Kirchmeier alcohol chocolates, and every single one of them has some sort of booze to it. And there's one that's a dark chocolate little bar, like fudge bar, with bourbon in it. And when you first taste that, you get a lot of chocolate, obviously, but there's a really strong bourbon flavor, and it burns a little bit.
And that's what this is?
That's what this reminds me of quite a bit. And it's more of like there's a pleasant taste in there initially from the chocolate. Then the bourbon kicks you in the mouth, and you're like, whoa, and gives you that burn. And then afterwards, the best part is after that initial, chocolatiness, is that lingering chocolate and roastiness at the end. Because that just kind of hangs out in your mouth. With a little vanilla as well. And actually, as I continue to sip it, I'm getting a little slight coffee note coming through in that as well. Which is interesting. I mean, I like this. This is definitely a very small sipper. You don't want to take large gulps of this thing unless you're trying to get there fast, which, some people do. But, yeah, the alcohol's much. It's a bit much, maybe.
Not maybe. It is. I mean, there's no maybe. It's.
I would argue maybe stick with the 1 year plan on the barrel and just increase the cacao nibs and vanilla.
Yeah.
Like, try that out. Let's just do that instead. Or...
we have a proposal.
Or, if you want to, in a way, double barrel it, take half of it, age it in a certain type of barrels, and then take the other half in another type of barrels, and then blend it. Like, I would propose, do half in bourbon barrels, and then do half in rye whiskey barrels. And then, after aging them both for a year, blend them. And then do happens. That. So that is, also double barrel in a sense, so... I kind of feel like that would be better, don't you think? Doing it that way? Splitting the base beer up, doing half rye whiskey barrels, half bourbon barrels for a year, and then blending it. I feel like that'd be really good.
That'd be interesting.
Especially because when we finished that cherry chocolate rain, the rye character, like the rye whiskey from it, was really nice. It's got that earthy spice, and I just like the way it plays with that imperial stout. So I would like it to be...
You probably would really like that then.
Yeah. I mean, when I was drinking, I was like, I'm not huge on cherry. If they just stripped the cherry out of the cherry chocolate rain, and it was just chocolate rain done in the rye whiskey barrels instead of the bourbon barrels, I think I'd like that more. And then if we upped that again, did that change, and then also did more cacao nibs and more vanilla, we'd be perfect for what I want. Anyway. We'll get there. Okay, so anyway, let's go ahead and rank these, I guess.
Okay. You want to go first?
I don't think I can. I need to think a little bit.
I can go. So my number 3 is going to be the chocolate rain, REIGH.
Yeah, REIGN.
REIGN.
Otherwise, chocolate rain.
Rain. REIGH. REIGN. Why do I keep thinking it looks like an H from where I'm sitting?
Pennsylvania schools. That's what it has to do with.
So that's my number 3. And then my number 2 is going to be the cherry chocolate rain.
Okay.
And then my number 1 is just the straight up chocolate rain.
Okay, so I'm different.
I know you're different.
My number 3 is going to be the straight up chocolate rain.
What?
I do quite like it, obviously, but I think that the chocolate rain REIGN is a little bit better. So that's my number 2, because I like that increased cacao nibs, that increased vanilla, even though the booze is more substantial. And to be honest, every now and then, I kind of like that lingering heat from the alcohol. It makes me slow down more, and it makes me feel like it's more of like a nightcap type deal.
Yeah.
And then my number 1 is that cherry chocolate rain. Like I said, that rye whiskey barrel for that beer is really good. And, the cherry's fine too. It's very
like the cherry. I didn't like the rye whiskey. I
love the rye whiskey aspect of it. And it tastes a lot like a boozy cherry cordial. Like one of those Kirchmeier chocolates again. It always comes back to the Kirchmeier chocolates. So, yeah. So that's final ranking. This was fun though.
Yeah, definitely.
I'd had these beers sitting around in the basement, and I was just like, when are we drinking these? And I'm like, wait a minute. There's 3 different versions of this chocolate rain. Gotta be variants episode.
Let's do it.
So yeah, so this is the last variants episode. We know what we're doing. Oh no, never mind. I have another one. Oh no, I have two other ones. Although we only have the beers to do one more. I would need to get more beers for the other idea I had. So the next one could be the longest one because it's going to be more beers. I think it's like 5 or 6 beers.
Whew.
Yeah, all variants. And I'll just tease it. It is one a type of beer that we've talked. Well, a specific beer that we've talked about many times on the podcast throughout the years, and we have referred to this beer as one of our favorites to keep in the cellar and get one out every now and then. So some people might kind of know where we're going with that.
No one's going to know.
Kyle Norman probably does. Kyle Norman texts me and guess.
Yes.
I'm going to bet I'll be like, yep, you're right. But anyway, good episode. Please do us a favor real quick. Give us a rating and review on iTunes because that helps a lot. Also, any other way you listen to us, if they have a rating system, go ahead and do that as well. Word of mouth is a big thing, though. Tell people about the podcast who like beer and say, hey, listen to this cool craft beer podcast that's been going on for like 8 years now. Maybe you want to listen to it. That'd be great. But, yeah. Oh, and follow Rebecca's Instagram.
Yep. Follow us on Instagram, Brutal Battle Podcast.
She's actually doing stuff with that.
Well, I normally just post on Sundays you'll get a picture of the beers of the weekly episode, and then once in a while in between you'll get a little picture of what we're drinking, what beer hauls we got, sneak peek of what we're drinking for episodes, stuff like that.
Booyah. So worth doing. It's just Brutal Battle, right?
Brutal Battle Podcast.
Brutal Battle Podcast. All right, sounds good. But thanks everyone for checking this out, and until next time,
keep it brutal.